In today's video, we will discuss flowcharts. We have already discussed algorithms and now we are moving on to flowcharts. For those of you who have not watched this video on algorithms, I'll put a link of this particular video in my description box. So we will start with flowcharts. Now, basically what is a flowchart? A flowchart, as it is clear from the name itself, gives you the path, tells you about the path of the flow of the information. That is, what is the particular path in which the information is flowing and how that information is being processed. So basically I can say that a flowchart is nothing but a pictorial or graphical representation of an algorithm, right? So there are certain symbols which are used in a flowchart for the pictorial or graphical representation. Now before I start with the flowchart, we should be knowing the basic symbols which are used in a flowchart. So, since it is a pictorial or graphical representation, there are certain symbols which will be used in a flowchart. So, the first symbol is the start and stop box. Start or stop box. This is the first symbol. Now, as the name says, that this particular symbol is used to start a flowchart as well as end a flowchart. That means the beginning is with this symbol, the end is also with this symbol. Next we have this input box. This particular box with slanting lines is used to input the information from the user. Now whatever information we do not have, that we take from the user with the help of the input box. So this is the purpose of the input and output box. Basically it is not just an input box but the input and output box. It is used for inputting and outputting the information, that is whatever information or data we do not have, we take it from the user through the input box. Similarly, whatever data we have to display to the user, we output it through the output box. Next, we have the processing box. This rectangular box is known as the processing box. This box is used for calculations. Whatever processing or calculations need to be done, they are done in this particular processing box. Then we have a decision box. This is known as the decision box, which is used for decision making. Now there are certain points in the programming where you need to make certain decisions. As for example, is A greater than B? If A is greater than B, if it is a yes, then you will take some action accordingly, and if it is a no, then also you will take some action accordingly. So there are certain steps in which decisions are required, so that decision making in a flowchart is done using this particular box. Then we have connectors. This is known as a connector. This is used to connect one part of the flowchart to another part of the flowchart. There may be cases wherein we are not able to fit in a flowchart within a single page. So in that case, we make use of connectors. So these are the basic symbols related to a flowchart. So once these symbols are clear, it becomes quite easier for us to design a flowchart. Now let us look at an example of a flowchart wherein we need to display the sum of two numbers. My customer wants, or the end user wants to know the sum of two numbers. Now how will we design a flowchart for this particular problem? As I told you, always a flowchart will start with the start or stop symbol. So since we are beginning the flowchart, so obviously we will say start. This is the first step towards the designing of a flowchart. Next, okay. Now what does it say? It says produce the sum of two numbers and display it to the end users. Now in order to produce the two numbers, I need to know what those two numbers are. Yes. So inputting and outputting. Now as of now, I am using this box for inputting or reading those two numbers from the end user. As I told you, whatever information or data we do not know, we take it from the end user. Now here I do not know what those two numbers are, so that means I will take it from the end user through this input and output box. So what will I say? I will say input num1 comma num2. Now I assign the name num1 and num2 to these two numbers. I have to give them a certain name. These names are known as variables. So num1 and num2. This makes it organized, understandable and clear and simple. So this is the basic task of a flowchart or a program, to make things simpler and organized. So when I have to take two numbers, what will I call them? I have to assign them some names. These names are known as variables. And the values of these variables are known as the constants. So constants can keep changing, but the variables never change. Say for example, the number 1 has value 2 and num2 has value 3. So 2 and 3 are known as constants, but num1 and num2 are known as variables. So every time this program is executed, the variable name num1 and num2 will remain the same for two numbers, but the constants may keep changing. That is, sometimes one time num1 will have value 2, the other time it may have value 4, the other time it may have value 5. So constants. So this is the constant and this is the variable. Okay. Now we have inputted two numbers, num1 and num2, from the end user. That means we've got the value of num1 and num2 now. Next, what is the step? What are we interested in? We are interested in finding the sum of two numbers. So what will I say? Again I will make use of a variable, because the sum needs to be stored in a particular variable. The sum of these two numbers again needs to have a name. What is that name? Sum. So this is sum variable. The sum of num1 and num2 is stored in a variable known as sum. So I will say sum equals to num1 plus num2. Okay. So the sum of num1 and num2 is now stored in a variable known as sum. Num1 plus num2 will give you a value 5. That is, 5 is stored in sum variable. Okay. This task is done. We have done the calculation in the processing box. Now what is the last step that is left? Sum has been produced. That means our motive has been achieved. Now only thing that is left is to display the sum to the user. So I say display sum. So that means at this point I am displaying the value of sum to the user, which is the addition of the two numbers. And do I need to do anything else now? No, my task is done. So what will I do? I will say stop using the stop symbol. So this is a basic flow chart for finding out the sum of two numbers. Now we will see one more flow chart over here, which involves decision making. This flow chart involves decision making. Here I want to say that I am interested in finding all the even numbers which are less than 300. Generate a list of all the even numbers. Even numbers less than 300. Okay, now there is a user who is interested in knowing the list of all the numbers which are even and which are less than 300, which involves decision making. So what will I do? Like always, I will begin with the start symbol. This is the start symbol I will begin with. Now next, what will I do? What am I will say the even number always starts with 2. Yes, even number always starts with 2, so I don't need to take the value of the first even number from the user, because I know by common sense that an even number always starts with 2. Okay. So I assign this first even number value 2 and the name of the variable which is storing this value 2 is called n. Clear till here? Okay, so I do not need the input box over here. I will use the processing box which says n equals to 2. Now, next what will I do? I will ask, is n greater than 300? Because what is the condition? List of only those even numbers which are less than 300. So at any point if n reaches a value which is greater than 300, if it is a yes, what will I say? I will say stop here. Yes, because I do not want even numbers which are greater than 300. But if at all this condition is not satisfied, that is the number is less than 300, that means I can still produce more even numbers, generate the list of more even numbers. So in that case, what will I do? I will say n equals to n plus 2. Yes, first even number is 2. Then the next even number will be 4. Next will be 6, like this. Yes, so that means every time a number and a jump of 2 produces an even number. 2 plus 2 gives you 4, 4 plus 2 gives you 6, 6 plus 2 gives you 8, and so on. Like this we can get the list of even numbers. So what is the formula for calculating the even numbers after 2, after the initial even number? That is n equals to n plus 2. Yes, so from here the loop goes back to this particular point, because this is only for this value of n is only for the initial even number. But after this, from here on, it will keep calculating the even numbers from this formula using this calculation processing box or calculation box. So n equals to n plus 2, that means next time it is a 4. Initially it was 2, then 2 plus 2 gives you 4. So the next even number is 4. It will say display n. Okay, it will say display n. Now after display, you have displayed n, you have to go back to the decision box, because this thing is not being done once but repeatedly until it reaches a value greater than 300. So again from here it will go to this loop and he will say, is n greater than 300? That means what is the value of n now? It is 4. So is 4 greater than 300? No. So it will not go here, it will simply again do n equals to n plus 2. That means n is now 4 plus 2, which is equals to 6. Then again it will display the value 6. Then again it will go back to the decision box and check, is n greater than 300? Now you tell whether 6 is greater than 300. No. That means again it will go back to this particular box after the decision box. Process n, it will do n equals to n plus 2, display it, and it will keep on doing it until n reaches a value which is not greater than 300. At this point, when this condition is satisfied, it will say stop. So this is how you can generate a list of even numbers up to 300. So this is a flow chart using a decision box which involved generation of a list of even numbers up till a value 300. So this is all about flow charts.